Today we are talking about defining relative clauses. What are defining relative clauses and why do we use them? Defining relative clauses are used to identify a noun more clearly, so to give essential information about the noun and to make clear which person or thing we are talking about. So, as we look at the picture, I can say the boy is in my class. But can you see there are two boys in the picture? Who am I referring to? The boy who is holding a red book is in my class. So, who is holding a red book is the defining relative clause. So now it's clear that the boy with the red book is in my class. So this is the correct sentence. In order to make a relative clause, we add a relative pronoun after a noun. So, the boy who is holding a red book is in my class. Who is holding a red book, we said, is the defining relative clause, whereas who is the relative pronoun which represents the boy, and it comes immediately after the noun. The choice of the relative pronoun depends on the type of the noun, whether the noun represents people, things, places. We use who for people. That's the girl who we saw yesterday. Who we saw yesterday is a defining relative clause. Who is the relative pronoun which represents the girl, which is used for things and animals. Did you get the message which I sent you? Which is the relative pronoun and represents the message. That is used for people or things. He is the doctor that you met last year. That you met last year is the defining relative clause. That is the relative pronoun which represents the doctor. Where is used for places. This is the place where they made the first wine. As we said, we use relative pronouns in the defining relative clauses, but the relative pronouns can be used as the subject or an object pronoun. For example, who used as a subject pronoun? The girl who shouted at me was very angry. Who shouted at me is the defining relative clause. Who is the subject pronoun and represents the girl. So in this case is the subject. The girl shouted at me. The girl who I shout was crying. So who I shout is the defining relative clause. Who is the object pronoun and represents the girl. So I shout at the girl, which can also be used as the subject and object pronoun in the defining relative clauses. For example, which as a subject pronoun, it's a book which will interest you. So which will interest you is the defining relative clause. Which is the subject pronoun. Which as the object pronoun, the book which I ordered online was cheap. Which I ordered online is the defining relative clause, and which is the object pronoun. That can also be used as subject and object pronoun. It's a film that scared me a lot. That scared me a lot is the defining relative clause. That is the subject pronoun. It represents the film. So the film scared me a lot. That as the object pronoun, the hat that she was wearing was very beautiful. That she was wearing is the defining relative clause, and that is the object pronoun. That is very common in spoken English, and you will hear a lot because we can use that instead of who and which. For example, that's the girl who we saw yesterday. So who we saw yesterday is the defining relative clause and who is the relative pronoun. Instead of who, we can say that's the girl that we saw yesterday. So both of the sentences are correct. Did you get the message which I sent you? Which I sent you is the defining relative clause. As you can see, we have used the relative pronoun which. Now, did you get the message that I sent you? So instead of which, we have used that and still makes sense. So did you get the message that I sent you? Or did you get the message which I sent you? Both of the sentences are correct. The relative pronoun can be removed if it's the object of the clause. Be careful, only if it's the object. For example, the hat that she was wearing was very beautiful. That she was wearing is a defining relative clause. In this case, that is the object pronoun. We may say the hat she was wearing was very beautiful. So we have removed that. Another example, the book which I ordered online was cheap. Which I ordered online is a defining relative clause. Which is the object pronoun. We remove which and we may say the book I ordered online was cheap. Be careful, the relative pronoun cannot be removed if it's the subject of the clause. It's a book which will interest you. It's a book will interest you. So the second sentence is incorrect. So we must use which if it's the subject of the clause. Now, we do not use commas when writing defining relative clauses. The girl who I showed was angry. So who I showed is a defining relative clause. As you can see, there are no commas in the sentence. The girl who I showed was angry. So after the girl, we have put a comma. This is incorrect. So that was all. Hope you enjoyed the video and see you next time.